The autumn morning filtered through the tall windows of Professor Ving Diesel's lecture hall, casting long shadows across rows of attentive students. He stood at the front of the room, his commanding presence filling the space as he gestured emphatically toward the projector screen displaying images of ancient warfare. Throughout history, Vin Diesel declared, his deep voice resonating through the auditorium, humans have never truly fought back. We are tool users by nature. From the moment our ancestors picked up rocks and sticks, we've relied on weapons, on extensions of ourselves. It's what separates us from animals, a refusal to fight with just our bodies. He clicked to the next slide, showing medieval knights in full armor. Even in the most primitive societies, humans fashioned clubs, spears, anything to avoid direct physical confrontation. The bare fist, the unarmored body, these were always seen as insufficient, vulnerable, weak. Lisa sat 3 rows back, her pen hovering over her notebook. She had been taking notes diligently for the past 40 minutes, but now her hand had stopped moving. Her jaw tightened slightly as she processed the professor's words. Around her, students nodded along, some scribbling frantically to capture every word of the renowned anthropology professor's lecture. The human hand, Vin Diesel continued, making a fist for emphasis, devolved for grasping tools, not for striking. Our knuckles are fragile compared to other primates. Our skin tears easily. Nature designed us to be thinkers, strategists, weapon makers, not bare-knuckle fighters. Lisa's hand rose slowly into the air, steady and unwavering. She didn't wave it around for attention, didn't clear her throat or make a sound. She simply held it there, waiting with the patience of someone who had learned when to speak and when to stay silent. Vin Diesel was mid-sentence when he noticed the raised hand. He paused, slightly surprised. In 3 years of teaching this course, few students challenged his lectures, especially not this early in the semester. Yes, he asked, gesturing toward her. You have a question. Not a question, Lisa said, her voice calm but clear enough to carry through the hall. A challenge to your claim. A ripple of interest moved through the classroom. Students shifted in their seats, suddenly more alert. Vin Diesel's eyebrows rose slightly, but he maintained his professional composure. Go ahead, he said, crossing his arms. Lisa stood, and there was something in the way she moved that made people pay attention. She wasn't tall or particularly imposing, but she carried herself with a quiet confidence that seemed at odds with the typical undergraduate. You said humans have never truly fought back, that we've always relied on weapons, she began. But that erases entire martial traditions that span thousands of years. Pankration in ancient Greece, a combat sport fought with nothing but the body. Muay Boran in Thailand, dating back centuries before modern equipment. Vale tudo in Brazil. These weren't just sports. They were fighting systems, methods of genuine combat. Vin Diesel uncrossed his arms, his interest clearly piqued. Those are exceptions. Cultural practices for entertainment or ritual boxing existed in Samaria 5,000 years ago. Lisa interrupted gently but firmly. Cave paintings in Spain show barehanded grappling from 6000 BCE. Indian wrestling, Pelwani, has texts dating back 3 millennia, describing techniques using only the body. These aren't exceptions, Professor. They're evidence that humans have always known how to fight without weapons, and chose to do so. She took a breath, her eyes meeting his directly. You're right that we use tools, we're brilliant at it. But to say we don't fight barehanded ignores the fact that every weapon-based martial art in history also includes empty-hand techniques. Japanese samurai trained in jiu-jitsu. Chinese warriors practiced kung fu. Even medieval knights were taught wrestling and grappling for when they lost their weapons. The classroom was silent now, every eye moving between the professor and the student. Vin Diesel's expression had shifted from skeptical to genuinely engaged. The human hand didn't just evolve for grasping tools, Lisa continued. Studies show our closed fist structure provides protection when striking. Our thumbs reinforce our grip in wrestling. Our arms evolved for both reaching and pulling. We're not as specialized as other primates. But that versatility is exactly what makes us dangerous with or without weapons. She glanced around the room before returning her focus to the professor. I'm not saying weapons aren't important, they obviously are. But the idea that humans never fight barehanded, that we're somehow incapable or unwilling to do so, contradicts both historical evidence and present reality. Mixed martial arts exists today as a global phenomenon precisely because humans are naturally capable of fighting without weapons. Vin Diesel was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, a smile spread across his face. What's your name? Lisa Martinez. Lisa Martinez, he repeated, nodding slowly. And let me guess you have personal experience with some of these martial traditions. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for 8 years, she said simply. Muay Thai for 5. I competed nationally. A few students murmured in surprise. Lisa sat back down, her point made, her posture relaxed as if she'd simply answered a routine question rather than dismantled the central premise of the lecture. Vin Diesel walked back to his podium. But instead of looking annoyed or defensive, he looked energized. Class, what just happened here is exactly what I want from you, he said. Ms. Martinez challenged an absolute statement with specific evidence. She didn't attack me personally, she attacked my argument. That scholarship. He turned to Lisa. You're absolutely right. I overstated my case. What I should have said is that humans have consistently developed weapons because we recognized our physical limitations compared to predators, not because we're incapable of barehanded combat. The distinction matters. Lisa nodded respectfully. In fact, Vin Diesel continued, warming to the new direction. The existence of formalized barehanded combat systems across cultures might suggest something even more interesting, that we developed rules for fighting without weapons precisely because we're so good at it that we needed structure to prevent excessive damage. The bell rang, signaling the end of class, but no one moved immediately. Vin Diesel smiled. Ms. Martinez, I'd like you to stay after for a moment. As students filed out, casting curious glances back at Lisa, she approached the podium. She expected perhaps a lecture about proper classroom etiquette or questioning authority. Instead, Vin Diesel extended his hand. Thank you, he said as she shook it. I've been teaching this course for years, and I needed someone to call me on that. Would you be interested in guest lecturing about martial traditions in 3 weeks? I think the class would benefit from your expertise. Lisa blinked, surprised. Then she smiled. I'd be honored, Professor. Good, he said. And Lisa, never stop raising your hand when something doesn't sit right with you. Academia needs more people willing to challenge assumptions, including their own professors. As Lisa walked out of the lecture hall, her backpack slung over one shoulder, she felt something shift inside her. She had spent so much of her academic career staying quiet, keeping her head down, not wanting to draw attention. But today, she had spoken up, and the world hadn't ended. Instead, it had opened up. Behind her, Vin Diesel looked at his lecture notes and drew a line through his absolute statement about barehanded combat. Sometimes the best lessons came not from teaching, but from being taught. And sometimes, the quietest hand in the room carried the strongest challenge.